Anyone who knows me knows that I have no problem telling someone they're wrong. We live in an era of fraud in America, not just in banking, but in government, education, religion, food, even baseball. I thought we were better than this. I really did. And the fact that we're not doesn't make me feel all right.
Welcome back here. While 5 U.S. states set new records for COVID cases as hospitalizations rise. Welcome back here. 5 U.S. states set new records for COVID cases as hospitalizations rise. And the tricky thing here is Oregon has fully vaccinated 56.8% of its residents, Hawaii at 54.3%, Florida at 50%, Louisiana at 38%, followed by Mississippi, the lowest at 35.8%. So, as as COVID, the Delta variant, rises and more outbreaks arise throughout the U.S., now who knows if we'll see lockdowns? I hope not. But the main thing from here is nationwide, 11% of all the hospital beds are being used by COVID patients. So you could see there's a drastic difference from whatever's going on there as opposed to the rest of the US. So, as this is going on, let's take a look at how some of the COVID stocks. So, Pfizer, BioNTech, Moderna, J&J, and all down today. Now, is that because of just the rotation in the markets? Because some of the bigger people and hedge funds know what's happening and they're moving out of those growth plays into the value plays, because right now it seems like COVID's here to stay, right? It's been said over and over again, and the final straw of the third booster shot is pretty much indicating that it's going to stay, and it's either we're going to be adjusting to it or who knows what will happen in the near future. That's a different conversation for another day. But right now, I just want to break down the markets. So that really gets you thinking when you're looking into the stocks of the rotation out of those growth plays. And we'll get into that in a little bit. New York City stated that they will require proof of vaccination for entertainment venues, gyms, and indoor dining in New York City. Now, even though they came out with this today, it's really not going to take effect until September 13th. But this is just insane, because who knows who else will follow in their footsteps. But will consumers who are flush with cash right now, will they start buying more and more things on e-commerce platforms? Or will you actually see more and more vaccination rise in certain states? Now, only time will tell with that, so just something to keep your eyes out on. Next, Pfizer actually today submits data for the FDA for authorization of COVID vaccine booster shot. In the phase 1 trial, the booster generated significantly higher neutralizing antibodies against the original coronavirus strand, as well as the beta and delta variants. Both companies have said this, Pfizer and BioNTech. When this booster shot comes out, the first people who should pretty much be getting Pfizer and Moderna's vaccines are the ones with the weakened immune systems, and this includes cancer, HIV patients, and people who have had organ transplants. Now, to me, I'm not going into any conspiracy or anything, but I don't know. There's no long-term data on that. I'm not talking about the short term. I understand what COVID is, but when it comes to this, why are they the first ones to get it? That's just something that's odd to me and stuck out. So hopefully this booster shot or third shot, whatever you want to call it, is the final one, and that's that, and we all could go on with our lives without mask, everyday living, and just take care of your hygiene, and that's that. And as us consumers spend the money, these pharmaceutical companies are profiting. Now, there's been some talks around the Fed tapering of bond purchasing in September. And so this is big because when they start to tamper, the market could freak out, and that could be a correction, or it might not be a correction, and markets could just catapult to all-time highs like it's been. And it's kind of crazy that the markets haven't dipped below 5% in about 5 months. So that's just giving you some peace of mind, like 5 months of no decline of 5% or more in the markets. It's absolutely crazy. So if the Fed does decide to taper with the markets, this could make the markets freak out, but this would only happen very quickly, and it would probably be very volatile. But like I said, I could be wrong. That's my output on it, because certain things have happened in the past. When they have tapered, the market has freaked out with it. But it all depends what is going on with the overall market and the economic data that comes out around this. So let's just see if Fed Powell pulls the trigger and starts tapering soon, because the meeting will happen in September but won't actually really start until October. To get into the markets here, we have futures down at the moment, but S&P and the Dow hit new highs today after slumping all morning. And I mentioned this in my video that I really thought what was happening, we were going to see a very quick sell-off in the morning due to the Afghanistan events going on, and we finished at new highs while the Nasdaq actually slumped. And that's just been something we've been keeping an eye out, because it seems like the triple Qs might be topping out, and volume is very, very slimming. So we'll see about that. So as you could see, global equities, only ones that were up were the S&P and the Dow. Commodities had a nice jump today. Soybeans plus 0.53%. Now, commodities is something to keep your eye around the markets when inflation is talked about, because if these go up, then obviously the price of them will go up. And so this is a good sign to see where the market is heading. Some futures are up right now. We'll see what tomorrow morning we'll have, because gold futures are down right now. So that's interesting. So next we have the sector outlook here. So the material sector is the best out of all sectors over the 5 trading days, and this includes today's session. So looking at it from a short-term perspective, you could see all these are pretty much up from a 3-month time frame, a 1 month time frame, only real estate is down. Now, I cover some of that headlines in some of my videos, so that doesn't surprise me. But with consumer sentiment up and the housing market still booming, even though there's that FUD in there and fear looming, that's just something to keep your eye out on. And then as we see communication services and financials really taking the lead, as well as IT and materials up from a 1 month perspective. Looking at it from a long-term way, from a 1 year, everything is up, so that's absolutely insane. Just look how much they're up: 34%, 26%, 52%, 40%, 38%. Now, that's insanity, and even a 3 year perspective, only one's in the red. 110% for information technology. Now, that's absolutely insane, but that just goes to show, for instance, the past year and a half now, interest rates have been historically low, and even before then, we just had a booming economy, well, booming market too, and anyone that's in IT, that's pretty much the growth play, and they are taking out money so they can expand their technology and do research. So that's actually kind of nuts. That's up 110%. Now, let's get into the stock movers with the highest volume today. So it was led by Apple, followed by AMC, which I touched upon this morning. And I also touched upon NAOV, which actually was a pretty good play today. I didn't make a play in it, but I did cover it, as well as PaySafe. They did have earnings today, but I didn't make a play at all today. I work a 9 to 5, so sometimes I just don't have the time to make any moves, unfortunately. But as we get into it, Apple led the S&P today, and with going back to school coming around, really go on a drastic bull run during this market. People want to spend money, but the prices are going to cost way higher than they anticipated. So, are they really going to want to go back to work to pay for that? Tesla stock really took a hit when an autopilot crashed today. Traffic Security Administration is looking into the Tesla Assistant features, and this is something that Elon has been backing ever since the first ever Tesla accident has happened, and he's all for the autopilot. And every time he has been asked what are the parameters with it, and he always says that the driver always has to be paying attention when autopilot is initiated. So that's something he's always backed, and that I can't see Tesla being hurt for too long. But it took a nice little hit today, but that stock is very volatile. If you look at the options, the theta, and the implied volatility, that stock could go anywhere from 684 to all the way to 720 in a day or so. So just keeping that in mind, because that is the big one of the triple Qs. And this week is a big week for retail earnings. Why? Like I just initiated. So this week is a big week for retail earnings, and that's just like what I said about Apple. As consumers are sitting on cash, back to school is starting. We are going to see the Targets, the Walmarts, the Kohl's, the Macy's, the Gap, Amazon. Those stocks are really going to probably see a really good demand for their supplies. But if there's any, I mean, I highly doubt there's any shortage on any of those back to school items, but the real kicker is going to be the price increase of school supplies from year over year. I don't have that data on hand, but I can only imagine how much more money people are going to be spending going back to school this year. And some other earnings this week. Tomorrow before the bell, like I said, we got Walmart, Home Depot. That's another huge earning ones to see how the consumers spend their money. During the pandemic, grills were a huge, huge money spender, and Home Depot and Lowe's, they were having outstanding earnings. So that's going to be interesting to see how in Q2 they performed. So those two stocks I'm definitely going to be covering in the morning. And after close, nothing I'm really looking at except for Lazy Boy, because that's a furniture company. See how harsh they really got hit with the ports and shipping costs. So that will be an interesting thing to see. And the rest of the week, Target will be a really big one. Lowe's, Cisco, Nvidia, Macy's, Kohl's, like I said, BJ's, and then on Friday, John Deere, Foot Locker, all consumer stocks, which are going to really see how Q2 was. Alright, so one stock that I touched upon was AMC this morning. Now, I said that it was looking kind of bullish pre-market, and I was keeping my eye out on it, and it ended up going positive today, up 6.63%. It is currently down at the moment by only about only by 14 cents. So alright, so one stock I wanted to get into is AMC. I touched upon it today pre-market. It looked like it was giving bullish signals and ended up going positive today at 6.63%. And as we're looking up here at the 5-minute chart in the after hours now, it is 8:24, so it is currently closed. But it was just flat. I mean, it's down about 14 cents, so not that much price action in the after hours, but we saw some good volume this morning. We haven't seen volume like this in a while, so that's a good sign. And then we were just consolidating, but one key thing that's big that I saw was we broke out of this big bull pennant, and we were in a downtrend. And then finally, with some news that was coming out with AMC that I've been seeing, along with the quote-unquote Ape Nation and all that, I pay attention to that. So I've been watching this, and we've bounced off this support level quite a few times, and if we break through this resistance, that could be a great indicator for a breakout here. And this is the daily chart down here. 4-hour chart is right to the left, followed by the 15-minute chart. So if we break out of here and we recapture the 50-day moving average, I mean, volume and the volume oscillator is moving up, indicating more volume and higher price action, as well as the RSI finally started to make lower highs and higher lows. And this is something to keep your eye out on, because I don't know if you've been following the quote-unquote meme stocks, but if you ever get the opportunity to make a quick buck, why not? Yeah, so this was one of the stocks that I just wanted to go over real quick. Tomorrow we got to hold. If we break past this August 10th high of $37.16, that's going to be a really good sign. And if we could hold that, that's even going to be even better sign. So tomorrow I'm really looking for possibly a pullback to, if there is one, about $34.60. If there is a pullback, if there isn't a pullback, I'm looking to push that 37 range, possibly 38. But let's see how tomorrow turns out. Not too sure what economic data's coming out, but let's take a look at another one. Another stock that I went over and looking at is BITF. They actually just released earnings not too long ago. So June 30th, 2021, revenues of 36,000, and the change from a year-over-year perspective was 29,000, and gross profit margin at 64% as opposed to a 2% loss from last year. Okay. Operating income loss was 2,000 as opposed to 1,400, and operating margin, okay, 6% as opposed to 20%. That's not what you like to see there. Okay, gross mining profit. From a year over year, there was a $25,000 difference. 25,000 difference. Adjusted EBITDA margin 65% as opposed to 19%, 7% as opposed to 6%. Gross mining margin 79% as opposed to 36%. Okay, so not terrible, but not also the best. But as we all know, crypto has been an insane run, and then now it's coming back up. So this is BITF. Now I touched upon it. Now in my morning video, I said I was looking for a pullback to test support at the 23.6% Fibonacci level, and it did hit, and it tested that level here quite a few times. So that's what I was really looking at, to see if it would hold that support, because I'm looking at a target price, which is, if they come out of the gates firing tomorrow off these earnings, it hit a high of $7.47. Depending on what crypto is doing at that point in time, really could see a high shot up past $7.47. But then again, it could pull back a little lower because it was a little overextended, and depending on if any news comes out between now or then, who knows what could happen. So I'll be live tomorrow morning. Thank you for tuning in. Hope you learned something, and have a great rest of your night.